this is a new 9th Age battle. We're starting by describing the High Elven army and its strategic and item and unit.
Okay, so to the right I have one proxy sky sloop and one sky sloop. And then I have 5 Alien Reavers with bows, 1 Seaguard Reaper, 21 Spearmen with the War Banner of Ryma and full command.
1+ strength when they charge.
And armor piercing. And they also become Swift Stride. And then I have the banner of Becalming on the other 20 Spearmen here. So when I am the reactive player, I can steal 1 wheel token from the active player during siphoning the whale. And then I have 5 Knights of Ryma with Musician, 5 Alien Reavers with bows, 24 Swordmasters with full command and War Banner of Ryma, 19 Queen's Guard with the Musician.
Oh, they're Queen's Guards.
Yes. So they have magical attacks and flaming attacks, strength 4, armor piercing 1. And then for character setup, I have Master of Canreig Tower. He has 1+ armor save because of Willow's ward and protection of Dorak or something. And he also has 8 in defensive weapon skill.
So he's not going to be slaughtered by zombies like he was afraid of last time.
Yeah, he's a bit more durable. And I have him together with my Cosmology Mage. He has he's Asfad Scholar, so he has 6 inches extra range and no strain magic, bounce spell.
And Pyromancy?
Cosmology.
Cosmology, of course.
And what else? He has the Book of Maladies, so he can reroll 1 magic dice each phase. And he also has the forgot the name, Highborn Elf artifact that gives him +1 to these spell attempts.
This is almost equal to the last Vampire Count army. The core units are pretty much the same, 2 units of skeletons with halberd. Vampire Knights, like last time, Vampire Spawns, but this time we have Winged Reapers without any special weapons. The General is now on a Spectral Steed, so he's ethereal during the movement phase. Not otherwise, he has Ghost Step. The zombie units are 3 units of 35 like last time, and the Necromancer is now the General, with Alchemy, an Adept with 2 spells. A unit of 8. Ethereal Riders. Spectral Hunters. And they're in 1 unit. The Vampire Count is deploying zombies on the flank, the Winged Reapers, and Vampire Spawns filling the line. On the other side, Reaver Fast Cavalry on the flank, a Sky Sloop, another Sky Sloop and more Reavers behind the impossible terrain. We have the same map as last time because we're very lazy, and when we roll the dice, we roll the same die roll. Very lazy die. The skeletons with halberds are heaping up on the flank here. These are the fields in which in days of old Richard III won a battle. The skeletons burrowing up from the ground and graves here are the same which were in his army once. Elves of the High Kingdom. The battlefield is a refused flank. That means the High Elves are high in the front, but choose not to utilize it other than with the Sky Sloop here. The vampire counts were high on the flanks and choose to utilize that with their bubble of zombies and skeletons. The High Elves drop everything first, so they get the first turn. And here you have their setup. Spearmen come up on both sides of the Swordmasters. A repeating bolt thrower in the rear, and they have an expeditionary force on the flank with archers, Knights of Ryma, meeting only winged vampire spawns on the other side of the battlefield. The Highborn Elf main force are met by Vampire Knights, more vampire spawns, Spectral Hunters with the Vampire General in the unit on his Spectral Steed, Winged Reapers, and a large bubble with an open line to the breakthrough on the other side. So both armies have 3 scoring units pretty unopposed into the other player's battlefield. And it looks like the battle will happen in the middle. These are the Vampire Lord's spells from Occultism. The Necromancer General has Alchemy. And the hereditary spell, Arise, which raises zombies and skeletons. The Master of Canreig Tower has these spells. And the Wizard Master with Cosmology. And he's placed right here, just beside the Master of Canreig Tower. As opposed to the Vampire here, and the Necromancer General on the Cadaver Wagon, right here. First round to the Highborn Elves.
So during my movement phase I shuffle everything here to the right.
The center goes to the right.
And I move these a bit upwards so they have a clear shot at the... what are they called?
They did very well against the vampire spawns, shooting down 6 wounds.
Yeah. And I also move these up to zone. In my magic I get through all of... I'm able to cast my spells, but my opponent dispels 2 of them. So the only spell I get through is Quicksilver Lash on the Knights. And I do 2 wounds. And in shooting I try to shoot with my Sky Sloop on the Knights again, but I don't do any wounds. And with my Seaguard Reaper, don't do any wounds. And then my Queen's Guard and the second Sky Sloop over here, they shoot on these guys, the Reapers. And
vampire spawns?
And they're vampire spawns, yeah. And they do 7 wounds total.
Yeah. A good distant face. Was it worth taking the first round for the Highborn Elves?
Yeah.
The Vampire Count, who has relinquished his generalship, is moving up aggressively, taunting the enemy. One spell goes through, Molten Copper on the chariot, but it doesn't do any wounds. And this vampire spawn hides behind the mountain after being almost shot to pieces. That's the Vampire Count's first turn. And now the Highborn Elves will have to do their movement strategically. to further their cause throughout the battle. On Highborn Elves turn 2, the vampire spawn have deserted their flank, so the refused flank is no more, and the Highborn Elves are trying to encircle from this side. The vampire counts haven't moved that quickly. The Reavers are flanking a charge. The beautiful pink Reavers have now become green from previous battles. Stylistically, the vampire count nods in acceptance to that color scheme, that color choice.
Okay, so in my magic phase, I get off Altered Sight on the Queen's card, which give them +1 to hit. And
they utilize that to kill 4 Spectral Hunters?
Yes.
With magical attacks?
So 19 attacks with 3+ to hit and 3+ to wound. Results in 4 dead Ethereal Knights. And then I get off Ice and Fire is despelled, and I get off Quicksilver Lash on those knights, and I do 2 wounds. And then fire from both Sky Sloops take another 2 wounds. And that is shooting and magic, Highborn Elves.
The vampire counts on turn 2. They hold their flank with some strong units, and the generals rights do a swipe attack through the Reavers who had chaffed them. The Reavers lose 4 wounds and the last one flees. After that, the vampire count strong units choose to move up, using the fleeing unit as a block so that the enemy swordmasters can't charge them next round. They get off the Arise spell. You can see the dice lying around here, signifying how many zombies and skeletons are raised in addition to the starting size of the unit. The bound spell Arise from the same necromancer from his item is dispelled, and the spearmen here feel a rot coming from within. They're asking themselves, are we any longer elves? We feel incapable of wielding our weapons. -1 weapon skill permanently. The High Elf player did not like that. The Highborn Elves get off a hex on the Winged Reapers, just like the spearmen are hexed. These vampire spawns are shot down, the first one from Bolt Trovers and the rest from Queen's Guards. The last Vampire Knights are shot down as well with a hail of arrows, and the last wound
from Elaine Reavers. 6 to hit, 6 to wound, and then 1+ armor save. No, yeah, 1+ armor save.
Killing the last Vampire Knight.
So that teaches you that you should always at least try.
The Highborn Elves moved up the cavalry on the flank here, and of course the spearmen charged. We forgot to say that. That was the whole movement phase.
I charged with the spearman because he has to do 12 wounds to break steadfast, with a total of 12 attacks and 3 stomp. And they now have the -1 strength debuff. So I'm hoping that the spearman will hold them up for this one round, and also for my opponent's next round, which gives me more time for magic and shooting.
It is the magic and shooting that the Highborn Elves are dominating.
The spearmen do 3 wounds, because they had the +1 strength and armor piercing from Warbanner Ryma. And then these, what are they called?
Winged Reapers do 5
they
wounds.
Totally flop on their attack rolls, rolling a lot of 1s and 2s, because they have -1 strength from the spell. So the spearmen win the combat by 2 actually, and do a total of 5 wounds.
So the marker here is to show that there are 3 wounds left on one of the Winged Reapers. We count down on wounds. Now Vampire counts turn 3. The Winged Reapers keep flopping, losing 3 wounds to the Spearman and then 1 from losing combat and crumbling. They kill a few Spearmen, at least the Reapers don't crumble completely, but they're losing combats against the Spearman.
The Spearmen were sent in as a sacrifice to stall and they end up winning in the combat. So that's okay.
The Necromancer gets off the big Arise spell. Everything within 12 inches would rise dead models. Would raise dead models, but the Highborn Elves player commits all 5 dispel dice and dispels it. Breath of Corruption is cast by the Vampire, so he gets a breath attack and uses it on the chariot, doing 1 wound. The Vampire counts have reformed their positions. The zombies here are facing up against the Knights of Ryma, and the other ones have faced the other way to move around the impossible terrain. Now Highborn Elves turn 4, who have rallied their Reaver. On turn 4 the Highborn Elven cavalry are still relenting. They opt not to charge the zombies, which are 40 strong, both of them. Instead they keep fighting with the Winged Reaper, and now they're more back to average. They have perception of strength cast on them, 1+ strength to the Spearman, but they do 2 wounds and lose 3 in return.
They do 1 wound.
1 wound and lose 3 in return, so they lose combat for the first turn. The Winged Reaper wins combat. Other than that, they shoot down about 8 or 10 zombies here, and that's the High Elf turn 4. The shooting and magic is not as effective as it has been throughout the first half of the battle. Now Vampire count, turn 4. The Vampire counts have a pretty bad turn. The Spearman somehow killed the last Winged Reaper, doing 5 wounds to it. It only had 2 left, but anyway, did 5 wounds.
They were so pissed off.
I don't know. The Winged Reapers did extremely poorly in the only battle that has been running this match against the Spearman. The zombies and skeletons move around the impossible tree. The Necromancer General reforms, so he's 3 wide and looking in this direction, so he could send Molten Copper, killing 3 Swordmasters.
The classic 3 wide formation.
Yeah. He failed both his 2 other spells, so he didn't get a rise off. Very bad as well. And the zombies here, they tried a long charge and failed. So now it's Highborn Elves turn 5. The Highborn Elves smelled the bad smell of the zombies. Their odor was unmistakable and they took the bait. They're charging all in. A Sky Sloop and Princess of Ryma against one front of zombies, and the Spearmen move on from their success into the flank of the zombies with a Sky Sloop on the side of the flank and the Swordmasters. Last turn the Spectral Knights and Vampire killed one Elaine Reaver and overran into the Bolt Thrower. So there you have it. On turn 5 things are engaging. The cavalry charging in almost crumbles the unit, but almost doesn't help because they'll lose impact hit and everything the next round.
Yes.
The Swordmasters do crumble their unit.
Yes, and then the Spearman would have an overrun of 6 and the Sky Sloop an overrun of 7, but none of them come in the flank.
So that was a big fail. They would have crumbled this unit of zombies if they did. Other than that, we'll have to end the game right now. The archers would march into the enemy deployment zone, and since we had a breakthrough objective, they would get to the objective. The Dragon Princess probably would too. And other than that, it's very hard to say how it would end, because it's still there are still many open situations on the battlefield, but we just have to end it right there. It would have gone to the finish line. To decide who would have won this battle.